And we're not only live, but we're recording here. Chris Saxman with the Guru, William Saxman, graduate of the University of South Carolina, managed the basketball team there, is the number one seed South Carolina Gamecocks went to the Final Four last year, and just recently off of his stint as assistant coach for the Robert E. Lee Fighting Lehman, who went to the state championships in 2A basketball, losing to Mac McClung and some of his teammates. which we won't remember too much, but that was a heck of a game. William, thoughts on the Mac McClung show?
And the kid is really good.
Real
he's
deal.
he's a special basketball player, and
All right.
we just game didn't go our way that night.
Well, everyone on offense, I mean, the guy dropped 47 on you out of 80. The other player they had scored 26. So that's 73 out of 80 points from that team. Does Mac McClung have anything on defense?
Not a whole lot, but that's just right now. I think he has tremendous potential on defense given his athleticism, but he didn't really want to pick up fouls because he knows what's going on there. So he played a little bit timid on that side of the ball this year, but
Right.
definitely has potential because of his athleticism. He can be a defender at the next level if he commits himself to it.
Okay. What? Where do you think that Lehigh could have done better on defense? Let's just not go there. Let's just move on. Let's move on to the NCAA tournament with the Guru, breaking down the brackets. We're going to break down this several days up until Thursday. And Thursday we'll finalize our brackets. But William, go ahead and start a bracket for us, and we'll get people to join. And the winner is going to get a steak dinner with the Guru and yours truly. And we'll figure out time and place and location. But it's going to be in the Commonwealth of Virginia. If you can't make it, you can't come. That's just it. And all rights reserved. We're not going to take anyone we don't really care to have in there. But so let's break this thing down here. I'm going to start with the South bracket. I see Virginia coming out of here on defense almost alone. Everyone has got Arizona and Kentucky as the big problems in this bracket for Virginia to get to the Sweet 16. I don't. I see Davidson as the problem. What do you think?
We had already talked about this, but Davidson is an issue. Creighton is an issue because of the way they shoot threes. I actually think that Arizona would give us a lot of problems. So, I've had Arizona over us in a couple of brackets. But I don't really see any problem with Tennessee or Miami or anybody from the lower half.
Not even Cincinnati?
The Cincinnati game would be one that everybody wants to see, but I just think that we do what they do a little bit better. So I would think that we win that game. But just on like style and, we've talked about how threes can give us problems, especially early on in the shot clock. Teams like Creighton, Davidson, they do that. So,
So I know you do a lot of brackets, which I don't think is the right way to go in this. I think it's a little fun, but you're young. What are you going to do? I think a lot of people do fill out different brackets, but if you had to pick out one, this is your go-to bracket. Who do you see coming out of the South?
It would have to be Arizona right now.
Really?
Yeah. I just think that DeAndre Ayton is an absolute monster. He could go for 30 and 20 any night. And, but we double the post. We should give him problems, but because of just his ability, he can pass out of it. And Arizona, they can score points. So even given their situation and all that, I think Arizona's going to come out of this region.
Okay. You think Arizona comes out, beats Virginia?
Yes.
Okay. And then the lower bracket, you see who coming out of there to face Arizona in the South Regional Final?
Out of this one, this is the West. I think North Carolina can come out of this one.
You think South? So you're picking Arizona and Carolina in the Final Four.
Yes.
So let's drop down to the West, where you've got Carolina coming out of it. How far do you see Xavier getting before they get knocked off?
I think Missouri could give him a lot of problems there in the second round, especially if Michael Porter Jr. is playing, and he's apparently going to do so. He's got a whole week to kind of get his game ready. We saw where he shot 5 of 17 in the SEC tournament game when he came back. If he can get it together, they can go down in the second round. But other than that, I think that they could take, the winner of Ohio State, South Dakota State, Gonzaga, UNCG, and then they could go all the way to the Elite Eight and lose to North Carolina there.
Missouri.
So, no, Xavier.
Okay.
I'm saying that I think Missouri would give them problems given
Okay,
how
so
Michael Porter
let's
Jr. plays.
let's back this up. We're going to do the South and the West brackets. I'm going to tell you who I have so far picked, and we'll come back in subsequent days and because I need to do more research on some of these other matchups.
Yep.
But so far, I've got Virginia over UMBC. I like Kansas State, but I'm not ready to go there just yet. Over Creighton, I do like Arizona. I'd like Loyola Chicago over Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I like UT over Wright State, Tennessee over Wright State, Nevada, and Cincinnati to round out my first round. And from there, I'm going to have to do some more research to get to the next rounds. But I like Loyola Chicago as the Cinderella coming out of this bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Davidson scares the hell out of me for UVA, but I do think UVA will be able to withstand Arizona's rise. Now in the West, any problems you see in some of that logic there?
No. So far on the South?
Yeah.
No. I like Loyola Chicago too. They're a really good team.
They're a good team. Okay. Dropping down to the West, I have Xavier winning the first round against North Carolina Central, Texas Southern. I don't get them past Florida State or Missouri.
Wow.
I don't see that. I think they're the weakest of the number one seeds, and I think one of those teams is going to get on a roll, and it might be Missouri. I'm not ready to pick Missouri there yet because I have a hard time integrating a Michael Porter Jr. coming in and making that big of a difference and getting in a flow of a team and then taking on Florida State in the tournament. But they have been playing good without him, and that's part of the problem. Is everyone's picking South Dakota State over Ohio State. I don't see it. I mean, it's one of those 12-5s. Yeah, you can't lose because you don't see Ohio State going deep beyond that. So I think it's an easy first round pick, but the points are so low in the first round it doesn't really matter. I do see Gonzaga going to the Elite Eight against Carolina out of that bottom part of that bracket. I think Gonzaga is very underrated this year. I like Houston, picking Michigan over Montana, A&M, and North Carolina. Those are my picks. I'm actually picking those. The ones I have not made up my mind on are Ohio State and Florida State games.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Everything you said there, I would say Missouri over Florida State, but that's just me. That's just because of what I think about Michael Porter Jr. But
yeah, I'm trying not to. I'm trying to look at the stats. A lot of this is such an emotional game.
mm-hmm.
And it's tough to go stat line on this kind of stuff when it's so emotional. For me, anyway. But you can't bet with your heart in this tournament. You really have to have a basis of understanding what you're putting in your brackets. I don't think it's just you can throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. But I think there has to be some level of method to the madness in March. Did you pick up on that?
Yeah.
No problem, no charge. All right, let's see. Going over to the East, my locks are Villanova. Not willing to pick Tech, Alabama just yet. Leaning towards Tech because they have more seniority there. I think they'll be sturdier in the playoff. But Alabama, I think, is one of those, as you've seen them, very talented teams, but young. West Virginia, people like Murray State in this. I'm not there yet. I still think West Virginia is leaning, in my opinion, but I haven't picked them yet. And I do like Wichita State over Marshall. Florida, I have no idea which way to go on Florida because they're so up and down. Kind of leaning towards UCLA, but we'll see. I like T-Tech over Stephen F. Austin. I'm picking them, picking Butler over Arkansas, and picking Purdue over Cal State Fullerton. What say you?
My big upset pick for this side of the bracket is I actually like the idea of Marshall over Wichita State. I'm not ready to pick that yet.
Whoa!
No. But Marshall's averaging something like 88 points a game on offense. They're just giving up like 82. They get in these shootouts, and I don't know. I watched the Conference USA Championship, and I think his name is like McEnroe or something. Yeah, some guy from Marshall, and he can light it up.
Okay,
So,
I have to ask you, is there any heart emotions for that? Because Darius George from Robert E. Lee High School in Stanton plays for Marshall now.
it's got something to do with it, but I'm
Okay.
telling you, Wichita State, they've had problems against just any given night coming and playing against teams like this. So,
So you don't
they
see
can be
Wichita
beat.
State making a deep run then?
No, 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 no. I would have them losing to West Virginia in the next round anyways.
So it's okay to make that bet for Marshall and look brilliant in your pick, and because you're going to defer to West Virginia picking up more points as you go out your bracket.
Right, right.
Right, and that's part of the strategy that people have to develop around their brackets. Is that, well, I can pick up South Dakota State over Ohio State because I think they're going to lose to Gonzaga anyway. So picking up that extra point is never really not
Right, right,
that big of a loss, right?
right.
Part of your strategy.
And this early
Okay,
in the game,
you
it's
like
worth it.
Marshall? I've not heard anyone say pick Marshall over Wichita State, and I'm going to take that off my board of lock picks right now because of your insight there. I'm not going to get too heartfelt over Darius. I mean, you know him.
No, no.
Your sister
I mean, yeah,
Nora
you shouldn't.
definitely
But
knows him.
yeah, look into what they do on offense, man. It's fun.
That's got it. No. And we'll see what Wichita State does on their defensive side. Okay, dropping down to the Midwest. So what do you have coming out of the East? Who do you like out of that? Nova? You got to go with Nova.
Yeah, Nova.
Nova all the way?
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. I want to go with Purdue, and I like West Virginia because it's March, it's press Virginia. That they can give teams problems, especially on short notice. But Villanova, when they play their best basketball, they're as good as anybody in the country. So Villanova.
And they've been consistently very good.
Right, right.
Okay, so you like Nova out of there, out of the East?
Yes.
You like Arizona out of the South. Who do you like out of the West? Did you have UNC?
UNC.
UNC, Arizona, and Villanova. And rounding out your Final Four is?
Michigan State.
Really, I think the Midwest is the best bracket, don't you?
Yeah, they're the
They're
best
top
in
four.
terms of not knowing who's going to come out of it. I
Right.
think UVA has the toughest of the number one seeds, with Kentucky and Arizona being a second round matchup.
But Kentucky has to get past Davidson. I'm not there yet.
Right, right. But I mean, Kentucky got hot at the end of the year. They just won the conference tournament,
So did
and
Davidson.
they looked really good against Tennessee yesterday.
I need to see some of those matchups in Kentucky and Davidson. Obviously, Kentucky's deeper and more athletic, but quite frankly, this is if there's a 12-5, that's my sleeping 12-5 right. It was Davidson because they can shoot that three. So let's break down my picks in the Midwest. Kansas over Penn. I got Seton Hall right now. I think they're very underrated over NC State. My question on Clemson is New Mexico State. People really like that 12-5 pick for New Mexico State. I'm not there right now. I got to do a little more, do a deeper dive on Clemson. They play great defense, but that they're missing was it Grantham?
Yeah, Grantham.
Grantham. And Auburn. I like them there yet. Not there yet. Anything different from you?
I like the New Mexico State pick. Of course, I don't want to get emotional because I hate Clemson the way that I do. But no, I mean, Clemson didn't really finish the year strong. Most of their quality wins, are from early on in the season. So you got to watch out for that. And New Mexico State, I think they've only lost like 5 games, so they're good.
Yeah, they can finish there. So that's what I want to do a deeper dive on. Auburn, Charleston, got any feelings on that one?
No, I mean, Auburn's so hot and cold because of the way they shoot the three, but I don't think Charleston plays enough defense to give them problems. So Auburn.
Okay, Auburn. I like that then. Let's see, dropping down, TCU, Arizona State, Syracuse. Boy, that's one of those play-in games that they could get on a run.
Right.
Syracuse, probably not as strong, but, they've done that before. Arizona State, obviously they had a much better first half of the season than the second half. So, and I don't know a lot about TCU. What do you think?
I think you're right, and I think every year somebody wins one of those playing games, and then they look really good when they come into the group of 64. So,
because they have nothing to lose. They're coming in going, why not? Let it all loose, right?
Right. And TCU had an injury to I think Jalen Fisher earlier on in the year. Maybe they're not full strength, and maybe one of these teams can definitely do that. So I'll need to look into and wait for that game to happen before I make that pick. But yeah, I'll be watching that game the closest out of any of the first four.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We also have, let's see, Michigan State Bucknell. Michigan State Bucknell. What do you got?
I got Michigan State big time in that one. I think that this is, one of their best teams with Miles Bridges and Jaren Jackson, and they can get on a roll here. So I got them rolling there. Got them winning the next round. Then it's the Duke rematch. That's going to be.
You want Michigan? You see Michigan State Duke. But let's back it up though. You got Michigan State over Bucknell.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't see Bucknell tripping them up at all, and I see Michigan State getting past whomever of the three are in the play-in games there.
Mm-hmm.
I like Oklahoma in the upset here on Rhode Island.
Oh yeah, this is one of the easiest picks for me on the whole board.
Really?
Yeah, Rhode Island. I mean, I understand why everybody likes them, but they played terribly here in the last 2 weeks. I mean, I think they lost at like St. Joe's. They lost at like Davidson twice, and just not really looking good in those games. Lost at St. Bonaventure. So, Oklahoma, while they finished the year 4-11 in the last 15, that's the stat everybody wants to talk about. I get it, but when they play their best basketball, they're as good as anybody in the country. So I get why the committee let them in at the same time. And I think Oklahoma wins this game. I think Duke beats Iona, and then I think the way Oklahoma plays basketball, and I've already called a lot of stuff for this, I think Oklahoma can give Duke problems. I mean, they shoot the three ball.
I'm just going to let that one marinate right there because I'm going, because I think everyone's picking Duke to go deep in this thing. And I've seen one of the problems in the Duke playing this year is that they're very talented, but they're very young.
Yeah.
And Grayson Allen, I'm sorry, doesn't provide the leadership at times, and he kind of erodes it from within. I don't see Duke getting I see them going. I just think they're the biggest variable in this tournament. I think they're the ones who should win it, just because they're so daggone talented. But they've got their own problems, and I don't know what it is. Can you put your finger on Duke?
It's really tough to, because it's a variety of problems on any given night. If one of their bigs gets into foul trouble early on, whether it be Carter or Bagley, it changes the landscape of the game. And
and teams know that, right?
Right.
And that's the game inside the game, is not getting your bigs in foul trouble, but still going down low and trying to put up points.
Right. Now, I mean, can they win this whole thing? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They are that good.
That hip check by Grayson Allen the other night.
Yeah.
What a punk. Why would you do that? I mean, that is just so unnecessary to the game. And Krzyzewski trying to blow it off like, everyone fouls and, has a lower body foul in the game. I'm like, no one does that in transition.
Right. And he's behind the play, and it definitely didn't look good for him. But it's become to be like the norm with him. And I think, given his reputation, it made the situation a lot worse.
It did make the situation a lot worse, and probably dropped his stock in the NBA, do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think, we could see a situation where he goes undrafted, not because of his talent, but because teams don't really want to deal with this, given how old he is, given, everything that he's done in his past. Maybe, he gets blackballed by the NBA, and you get a whole list of teams that just says, no, we don't really care for you that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have talent and ability and, in-game, performance, but, you can erode a team real quick like that. So let's break down the Midwest. You've got Kansas. I'm leaning towards Seton Hall. I think Kansas. I'm not as convinced that Kansas is going to go deep to the Final Four. I just not there. I don't know. I don't think the Big 12 is as strong as everyone says it is. And that's just me. I don't know. I didn't watch them that much this year, but I just sense a little weakness overall. And I just think the ACC with Carolina, Duke, and Virginia are just so strong this year. And that's just maybe a homer attitude there on my part. But so I'm not there on Clemson and Auburn yet. Probably going to go Auburn. Probably going to go Clemson. I want to do more work on TCU, Arizona, Syracuse. I like Michigan State going deep. Izzo is just so tough in the tournament, especially with the leadership they have there. I like Oklahoma in the upset, although I don't think it's an upset. And I like Duke, and I like Duke and Michigan State. That's a heck of a Sweet 16, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's gonna be a real good game. They played early on this year, and I remember thinking, that this was like a national championship caliber game. Duke won that, and especially early on, that's extremely impressive given how many freshmen they have. But yeah, that was a great game back then, and it'll be another great game if we can
So
get it.
coming out of that, whoever wins that game likely plays Kansas to go to the Final Four.
Hmm.
Are they going to be so drained coming out of that Kansas can take advantage of that? Because Kansas, let's be honest, their bracket's kind of weak.
Um, yeah, and then that can be a problem for sure. Um,
So, because what I'm trying to do for you and me and people who are watching and listening is when you break down your picks and your brackets as you go through it, because the points are the bigger points are the ones that get to the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, and the Final Four, and the Final Two, because
mhm.
that's where the numbers are when you rank up in the brackets. Because picking South Dakota State or Ohio State doesn't get you much, because I don't think South Dakota State goes very far, right?
Hmm.
But let's be honest, number 7 South Carolina did pretty well last year, beating Marquette and Duke in the first 2 rounds.
Right,
So,
right.
um,
And I think an underrated element that everybody should take a look at here is the time off that you get between the round of 32 and the round of 16, and that's where we were able to, really prepare and get ready for that run where we beat Baylor and then Florida was because we got like 4 to 5 days off between the round of 32 and the Sweet 16.
because you
So
finished on Saturday.
yeah, yeah, and
Wow.
then didn't play again until what is that Thursday?
So that you thought that was a big play, because I remember texting you. You texted me and said, "Oh my God, we're practicing the day of the Marquette game."
Yeah, well, that's a Frank Martin thing in that he said that he learned his lesson at Kansas State about taking rest off in March and just being real careful of when to rest the kids, uh, because you want them to be fresh, but you don't want to be sore or blah blah blah. And he was just like, no, we're gonna practice every day like it's middle of the season, and we're just gonna beat teams that way. So
Right.
that was a part of his thing.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's wrap this thing up here. You've got out of the South, you have Arizona.
Hmm.
Out of the West, you have UNC. Out of the East, you have Villanova. And out of the Midwest, you have Michigan State.
Yes.
Okay. Arizona, UNC. Who wins that one?
You know, I like Arizona, and I man, it's starting to scare me. I don't understand why they were given a 4 seed. I thought that they played much better than that. I thought they were at least better than Tennessee. Even in their own region, I thought they got misseeded. But
I agree.
this Arizona team, when they have Trier, they got Aiton. They're really good, and they can beat anybody.
Well, there's got to
on
be
any
some
given night.
softness in there somewhere to get that 4 seed, because that 4 seed does seem a little disranked to me as well.
Right,
Because they should be, down knocking around with Cincinnati or Tennessee and the other bracket.
right,
You got
right.
out of the West, you have UNC and Arizona. Who wins? Let's put
Let's put a
stamp
tie
on
on this. I'm going Arizona.
that. Okay, I'm going to go with UNC. Just their senior leadership and Joel Berry. I just think he can take over a game with Luke May as well. I just
Yeah.
think they have that extra edge when it comes to seniority, like Sindarius did last year at South Carolina. Let's go to the East. You have Villanova versus Michigan State. Who wins that matchup?
I got Michigan State.
Michigan State and Arizona. Who do you like in the final?
And this is tough, but I think I like Michigan State this year.
Okay, I'm going to go with Virginia. I got to do the homer. I cannot be this close and not ride the wave. I mean, they came in unranked. They're 31-2, 19 or 20-1 in the ACC play this year. I just think their defense is that good, and I like Virginia over Villanova.
Now, I'm gonna ask you this: do you buy into the hype and the whole thing of Virginia can't win in March? And what are your
No,
thoughts
because
on that?
look, I mean, Justin Anderson got hurt when they were legitimate Final Four threat, right? And he was out for the tournament.
Right.
This team is deep. It's older. DeAndre Hunter and Mamadi Diakite off the bench, I think, are much better than our bench reserves in the past, especially in the paint with the bigs where we need to get some foul rotation. But let's be honest. When you hold North Carolina and Duke and all those other teams to the scoring that Virginia did this year, you look at the possessions, you go, it's just so much more in their advantage to keep playing that, and other teams haven't been prepared for this.
Right.
And that's, I mean, they're gonna watch it on film and go, oh, we can do X, Y, and Z, and you're gonna go, look how they move their feet on defense. People talk about offensive efficiency, but what fascinates me about Virginia's defense, and I love the way you broke down the pack line defense called pack the lane, is how they move their feet on defense. They're always shuffling. They're always moving to a better position with their bodies, and they never get turned. And they contest. I'm a homer in this regard, but honestly, if you're looking at this even objectively, Virginia's defense is just that good, and I got to ride that wave. And I think the way they finished at the free throws against North Carolina was strong, 20 of 22. They had 9 3-pointers against North Carolina the other night.
Yeah.
I just
same thing at Duke this year. Finished the year great down the line.
Oh, but for the upset at Tech, they're a one-loss team against West Virginia. Was early in the season. I think they're playing better basketball in the last week than they had in the last couple weeks. I think they're peaking. I think they rested a little bit, and I think they'll be ready. So I'm gonna ride Virginia out. I couldn't forgive myself if they won it, and I never picked them.
Well, hey, given the last 5 years, I'd be okay with picking them wrong this time and letting them be right. So.
But you're not going to put your money on it, right?
No. They continually let me down in March, and I'm not ready to get hurt by that again.
Yeah, I just don't see that's a function of the team and the depth and the talent. It's certainly not and some of the people complain about.
You don't think it's a function of the style of play? You think it's not like
No, I think it translates well. I think defense travels. I think
I think the problem is between the round of 32 and the Sweet 16, like I'm telling everybody, but if you get 5 days off and you give Arizona 5 solid days to prepare for what's coming, maybe that can give you problems. I mean, I would definitely rather play Kentucky.
Yeah, I would rather play Kentucky. I think Davidson is the one of the three that scared me because they hit the threes.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So
we talked about that, and that's what Creighton does well too. So I mean, I'm even watching that a little bit. But
yeah, I want to do a little bit more research then. So I think our brackets are looking pretty good here. Some of these games I want to test out, but I don't want to get too lost in them because I don't think most of these teams that I'm testing out are going to go very far anyway.
Right.
I don't see Tech or Alabama beating Villanova. I don't see Florida getting past T-Tech or Purdue. I don't.
Right.
Seton Hall, I don't see getting past Kansas or Clemson and Auburn, and I don't see, OU going deep. So those are the kind of things you got to balance out as people make their brackets. It's fun to make these picks, but you got to think about where are they going to be and how is that going to line up for the most likely reality.
Right. I mean, if you can pick 15 of the 16 Sweet 16s, you're sitting real pretty. So.
Well, some of us did that and a little bit more back in 2008, if you recall.
Hey, I am no stranger to that story.
For those of you who don't know the story, in 2008, I picked the entire Sweet 16, the entire Elite Eight, and the entire Final Four, and busted, ranked number 5 in the Yahoo brackets.
In the country, number 5.
In the country, number 5, and then fell precipitously to like the mid thousands or whatever.
Yeah, that was Kevin Love's year. Russell Westbrook, UCLA.
See, I had no idea what you're talking about. I just made my picks. I rode Davidson through it. And it was a lot of fun. But I like Gonzaga in the West against UNC. And then my other final there is going to probably be
you got the Zags going to the Final Four?
No, I got them losing to Carolina in the Elite Eight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I want to do a little bit more research on that before I make that pick.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
All righty. We'll come back tomorrow, and we'll go into the secondary brackets a little bit more depth on the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, and the Final Four, do a little bit more analysis. So we'll get on KenPom and the other rankings groups, and we'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
All right, see you. Thank you.
See you, man. Yeah, bye.